Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Eye Opener Society. I wanted to start off by saying thank you to everybody who's been listening. We've been having some really great shows as of late. We've got the introduction of Elaine's Arcane Oracle. We have Sunset Child's Out There podcast. And most recently, we have the really, really great episode, the very first podcast from Anne Lund, Haunted and Waiting. And it is such a great show, and we really appreciate everybody that's been tuning in and listening. It is much appreciated. In case you missed the last episode, we'll remind everybody again, Hannah is on kind of a hiatus from the show. We can't talk too much about it, but Hannah cannot sit in on these shows with me. However, I still want to have a co-host every now and then. And tonight, we got a really special guest co-host, the author of the podcast, Anne Lund's Haunted and Waiting. We have Anne Lund sitting next to me, who's going to be joining in for this episode. Anne Lund, how are you?
I am fine. I'm very excited to be here also. So thank you for having me back.
You're very welcome. And it's always great to have you on the show. That is for sure. And I want to just first tell you again, congratulations. I know I've been saying this so often, but congratulations on your very first podcast. The amount of listens, it's incredible. And you've done such a fine job on it too.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was fun to do, actually. I didn't think it was going to be that fun, but it was absolutely a blast.
You'll see it gets addictive, and then you want to start
Mm.
getting more into the podcasting. You start spending more money like me and getting all this equipment and all that. But yeah, you're doing so well with it. But I approached you with the idea a while back. I'll never forget it because I was actually sitting out in my little meditation spot in the outdoors, and I called you up and I was like, "Listen, I would really like for you to do a podcast." And we were going back and forth for a while. But not only did you agree, but you also then turned me on to Sunset Child as well.
Mhm.
And I called Sunset Child and I told her, I said, listen, she just started rambling off like the way she does about, the
Mhm.
UFOs and all the conspiracies. And I sat there and I said, I said, I was kind of expecting you to do that. I said, that's why I want to offer you a spot as well. So Sunset Child just went ahead. So it's basically we're all connected. You, me, Sunset Child, we all have these podcasts
So
now.
we're like a web.
We certainly are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a web I'm really glad to be caught in because I think we're providing a lot of information to people from different perspectives. Um, your thoughts, your beliefs are different than most people. Mine are different from most. Sunset Child is different from everybody. And even Elaine from Arcane Oracle, I mean, she's doing a horoscope. She has this gift of the intuition where she can read these cards and horoscopes as well as she does. So we're all offering something on this platform that, is a little bit for everyone. And I appreciate everybody's contributions. But you doing the podcast though, those first stories though, any chance that's going to wind up in your book that you're trying to publish?
Probably not. Probably not. So I talk about the notebook that I have and I jot down all the weird experiences. So those were just experiences from that. The book is going to be different, but it's a loosely loosely based on some of the things that I've seen when I was hiking. So I think I've mentioned this to you. I think the woods are extremely haunted, in that there's nothing there to really distract you other than what's right there. So I tend to see things when I'm there, even when I hike with my friends. So again, the book is based on stuff that I saw while I was hiking, but I gave it a narrative. I
Mhm.
gave it a story, so to speak.
That's
So
great. How
yeah.
far along are you?
So I've had two drafts so far. I keep rewriting it, so I'm right now working on my third draft. So when you write, that's what happens. It's like you write one full draft and you go back and I'm going to tweak it. So it's a process. It's a process. So probably, hopefully next year, I'll have it, in some publisher's hands. Hopefully, let's see.
Whoever gets it, they better publish it because I'm
Yeah.
dying to read this. I really am. But yeah, writing is not easy. And as a writer, it's much like an artist. Sometimes you just never impressed with what you have and you're always looking at
Yeah.
it and you're
Yeah.
always questioning it and changing it. And it's no different than podcasting. There's a lot of times I'll put out a show and I was like, did I really say that? Did I really want to say that? But I've learned to just go with the flow. I don't care what it
Yeah.
sounds like. As long as you're putting your heart into it, it's always going
Mm-hmm.
to come out great. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to the book for sure. And I'm always looking forward now to your podcasts. You may be delayed with the next one because I know you got a lot going on, but I'll just let everybody know there may or may not be the next episode for it may be delayed a month. No big deal. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in patience and sometimes waiting, to listen to something is going to be worth it even
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I liked your style. So you've done that podcast in a storyteller kind of way, which is different. And I really do appreciate that because it gave me something different to listen to because I've heard the story. I've been part of your story before, in that, house that you grew up in. And do you have any ideas what you want to talk about next or what direction you want to go in with the podcast?
Yeah. So I've always wondered, as you know, we grew up in the Bronx, right? So
Mhm.
the one beautiful thing about the Bronx is everybody was from somewhere else, right? It wasn't like it was all Christian or it was all white. It was everybody was, you walked into a classroom in the Bronx and everybody, it was like a box of crayons, like everybody was different. And I noticed just from talking to people at that time, like the idea of, because I do ghosts, obviously, I talk about the paranormal, but ghosts in specific. Each religion and culture has a different way of looking at a ghost and what exactly a ghost is. And so I want to delve into that with my next podcast is go into the religions and what they see a ghost as being. I think in our culture in America, a lot of it is the Catholic version of a ghost, right? It's the soul. But there's so many other religions living in this country that see it differently. So I'm kind of starting to do some research on that. So hopefully I will get it done for November. I probably could, but it would be towards the end of November. But we'll see. But that's my next focus.
Well, that would be great. I know a while back, Hannah and I, we were talking about that different religions as far as death and dying and that entire
Mhm.
process. Every religion and cultures, they have
Mhm.
different ways of celebrating it. And I would find it fascinating with your research as well as to, seeing what you come up with as far as it'll be a really interesting show. That is a good way to lead your audience into, the next step because I feel when it's coming to telling stories like you do, everything's going to change. You're going to have different stories and they're going to be on, told in a different way. And so having all these different options, I think it's going to be great. And your audience should definitely be hanging onto their edges of their seat for hopefully end of November. I'm going to, unfortunately, right? Okay. You could do that to me. It's fine. But I know off the air, you and I we were talking because I know you were looking, trying to get a topic going for this here episode, but I said, we're just doing conversation style because conversation builds different topics while we talk.
Mhm.
But you had mentioned something about a book that you were looking at that you just purchased and you haven't read, but yet I read and I
Yeah.
based most of my life
Yes.
on it.
Yes, I was actually, it was really funny. I was just scrolling through YouTube and whatever, and I came across, I don't know how to pronounce it, the Cabellion. Am I saying it right?
The Kabbalion, I believe it is. Yeah, I don't even
Yeah.
know how to really
Um,
pronounce it, and I live by it.
yeah, but it's some really fascinating. So I haven't read the book. I ordered it on Amazon. It's probably coming today because I'm taking a flight and I figured I'll be able to read this. If it's stuff like this, I could read it in a, right, like I get just, whoosh, I get just drawn in. But I like the points about the everything's like a two-sided, right? So I don't know how to explain it. Like there's like the yin and the yang, right? You can't have this without that. Um, and the manifestation of the tenants. I think there was like seven, they talk about seven tenants. I don't know much about it. So it sounds brief what I'm saying because I don't know much, but I'd love to hear if you have any information about it. Like I
Yeah,
said, I'm going to read it.
sure. Um, yeah, a while back, I consider myself still a practicing pagan. I don't follow any one religion. Um,
Mhm.
I believe in all religions because I think there's basis on all of them, but I I went to a psychic, my friend Jen from Mind's Eye Metaphysical, mindseyemetaphysical.com, by the way. But she has a good friend who works with the shop and he does psychic readings. And I was curious about a past life. Now, he doesn't really do much as far as past life regression, but he can intuitively look and, see what you were possibly in a past life. And he told me I was an alchemist. And so
Oh,
I wanted
cool.
to get into that and I started reading up on it. And it really does coincide with the Hermetic principles and the whole Kabbalion
Hmm.
book, gives all the principles of it. So I was reading it and I said, as I was reading it, I said, wow, this here really falls in line with not only my way of thinking, but it also falls in line with, pagan beliefs as well and the alchemy beliefs. So as you look at it, you're absolutely right. It just basically explains that everything is two-sided. There's a dark, there's a light, there's going to be an upswing on your life, there's going to be happy, there's going to be sad, there's going to be death, there's going to be life. It's, as above, so below. And as you read these, and it's not necessarily a religion, but it's a philosophy that you can apply to religions. And that's what I've been doing. And that's how I've been living my life. So, yeah, the manifestation, the way you feel, the way you think, it manifests, So if you're thinking
Right.
negative thoughts, you're going to have a negative life. And that book actually does, bring that to light as well. So I was the same way. I read right through it. It was a really great
Yeah.
read and went through it really quick. So I'm thinking you're going to enjoy that. And I think you yourself too. I think you already apply some of those principles already to your life. I could tell you that's why you're going to read it like shock, like, wow, this is, there's a basis to why I feel this way. It was written
Yeah.
so long ago. And I'm the same way. I think ancient religions were so much more closer to their source back then
Yeah.
than we
Yes.
are now.
Yes. And I think I could be wrong about this, but what I read a little bit about with that book is they were kind of talking about um, everybody has a true self, right? So if you're not living your true self, you're going to be miserable. You could make $1 million, you could have a gorgeous house, a sweet wife, whatever. But you have a true self, and you have to find what that is, and you have to if you could get a job working with your true self, you're going to be happy.
Hmm.
And I think that's a lot. I think you've mentioned it in the past. I think sometimes when if you're working in a job and it could drain you, right? Because it's not something that's inherently yours, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
um, anyway, I read a little
It's
blurb about that. So,
right, which is maybe why I should be an alchemist rather than doing what I'm doing now. It could be the whole reason. Yeah, but you're right. And that's life. And you and I think we kind of see things in the same way, really. We basically apply our principles and our philosophies towards that same thing, manifestation, positivity, nature, the outdoors. We're surrounded by so much artificial stuff that we become products of that environment. But you and I, we see past that. We understand meditation and how well it is and the beneficial factors of it
hmm
too, as
hmm
well. So, yeah, and meditation too for, the audience. I know I haven't spoken about it in a while, and I'm trying to bring that back because it is, and especially right now, this day and age, and especially now, this election time, there's so much energy going on, and a lot of it is not good. A lot of it is very negative. We need to apply ourselves more to this meditation to elevate not only ourselves, but everybody else around us.
yeah. And I don't think a lot of people really understand what meditation is. I really don't think they really understand what it is when you can get into that zone, and you're not going to get for me, the purpose of meditation is meeting yourself, right? And kind of going in. All the answers to the outside are inside. And if you can focus, and everybody will say, oh, I try, I can't do it. I'm thinking about everything. I said, that's exactly what you need to do. Because if you cannot focus for a second with yourself, then that's a problem. You have to really try. But I know, Gary, you've said it that you can actually get into that zone when you meditate. And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes weeks, months, years to
Mm-hmm.
be able to do that. But once you get to do that, it becomes so addicting that you find that you have to set aside the time to do it. Like
Mhm.
it's just becomes very addicting, you know?
Yes, it does. And honestly, I don't even remember like the last time I went into that zone, but I've been in that zone. I've learned to place myself there and then just live life in that zone. What's interesting is like I walk around in a bubble now. I'm in that meditative state almost constantly. There are things that kind of snap me out of it, unfortunately, but we are still human. We are still subjected to emotions and all, and anger and such, and it will break me out of it, but I'm able to go right back into it. It's kind of like that bubbles, kind of like energy. And that's the way I see it as. And when things are able to penetrate it, it kind of breaks down that energy, but it builds right back up and I can go slip right back into it. But again, this is stuff that takes practice for a long time. I don't know how I did it. I don't know when it actually happened, but yeah, I slipped into that zone and I decided, let me stay here. Why keep going back into it? And I'm trying now, especially now with everything going on behind the scenes at Eye Opener Society. Um, I try now to better myself. And that's what it's about. It's removing that ego, not really seeing yourself anymore, that you are just energy and you are part of this world. So, and everybody has a different way of looking at meditation as well. So that's just my way of looking at it.
Yeah, yeah. I can't stay in the zone like you can. I can't. There I can get into it, but it's usually only for a few minutes, and it's weird because when you feel yourself slipping into it, you're like, I'm there, I'm there, I'm there. But then once you start thinking that you're there, you're just as soon as there, you're out, you're back out again. But when you're there, it's just such an amazing feeling. It just really is a great feeling. Um, it's just hard to find time during the day, but like I said, if you
Mhm.
start, it becomes addicting. It really does. It
Right. And
really
that's why I
does.
always encourage. I mean, if you could find that 10 minutes a day at the
Hmm.
very least to do it and start doing it and build up that addiction to it to the point where you want to be in that state all the time and get there, do it, be in that zone all the time. Like I said, I cannot live my life like a monk. I should have started way back, maybe when I was 8 years old, but there's things you can still do. There's still things that you can do to remain positive and to help other people by bringing forth that positive energy because I don't
Hmm.
hoard it to myself. I try to let it go out and spread to whomever needs it. That's part of meditation too. It's not just about you, it's about everything around you and everyone
Hmm.
around you.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
So
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, no, that's good. I was gonna go off onto something else, but no, do you have anything else on meditation?
No,
Because I could
I
talk about meditation all day long.
no, no, it's just I totally forgot what I was going to say anyway, but
Mhm.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So I was gonna kind of leave everybody on that note, a positivity note, a positive, because I think going back maybe 5, 6 episodes, I said it's time to start being more positive. Because right now the world is collapsing. There's a lot going on that we're not really you know, we can't really see unless you are kind of awakened. And I think that's one of the big things with the meditation. You become much more aware of what's going on around you. And sometimes everybody thinks, well, you're in this great zone and such positive energy, and you must be happy all the time. And that's not the case. You see more of the negative energy. It becomes much more prevalent when you're out and about in everyday life. It actually saddens you to see these things because you see yourself as the good and the positive, but
Hmm.
nobody else wants to open up to it.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, what's happening. And that's why I've been trying to help with, the Eye Opener Society audience is to remain more positive and start believing in it and start believing in yourself because this nonsense is, oh, I can't do it. I can't meditate. Once you start saying you can't, that's going to right away shut all the doors. You
Yeah.
have to start thinking positive. Yes, I can do it.
Yeah. And I like that you said that because that is true. Once you start meditating, it's almost like you start weeding out some of the pointless stuff in your life. Things like, I was talking to Sunset Child, and it was funny because she kind of agreed with me. Those things that you used to find so like stress over, it almost they don't matter anymore. Like you could go into work and find out maybe that you might lose your job, and it's not like you're not concerned about it, but it doesn't. It's not as important important as it once was, because you start seeing things that are a little bit more important. And like you said, being grateful. I wake up every morning. I forgot which philosophy this was. I have so many philosophies that I forget
Mhm.
where I got them. But this one particular one, wake up in the morning and just come up with three things that you're very grateful for before you even get out of bed. So you just kind of open your eyes and you're like, okay, I'm up. What am I grateful for? It could be the silliest thing, like I have a dog. It could be, um, I have a roof over my head. The blanket smells good, like whatever. It just three things, and that just sets your day positive. And it works. It's a lot better than getting up and going, in 20 minutes, I gotta, get downstairs and get in the car, and then I gotta go to work, and then I got this meeting. And so I find that once I started meditating and being a little bit more grateful, the day just kind of goes by, and things bother me less. And it's just
Mhm.
really healthy. It's a healthy way to be. And your mind is also much clearer, right? Because you don't have all this noise going on. It's just clearer, you
Yeah,
know?
you are so correct because you don't know how many countless times I woke up. Because again, I'm still in a job that I don't want to be in. It's coming near the
Mm.
end. And I'll wake up when that alarm goes off and I start really sometimes cursing the day. And when I do that, because I'm just not in the right mindset, my day winds up becoming worse than it should
Miserable.
be. It's
Right.
miserable day. So I got to kind of remind myself when that alarm goes off, just say, okay, it's another day. And like you said, some sort of positive affirmations. And me, I'm just starting out, you know what, this is going to be a good
Mm.
day. No matter what happens, it's going to be good. And when I do that, the entire day is much different. And I still get annoyed at work, but instead of it being this big, it's only this big. It becomes a
Yeah.
much smaller problem and it's much more solvable. And like you said, you have a much clearer head. And I wind up looking forward to the end of the day now when I get home and the day goes by quicker. So I'm not at work
Yeah.
as long as I thought I would
Yeah,
be.
yeah, it's true. It's
Mhm.
absolutely true. And even just to treat people, I think another practice is try to treat the people that are maybe not nice to you. If you kind of meet them with niceness, that
Mhm.
kind of sometimes throws them off kilter. And it's like another thing. Like I try not to let them drag me into that, into that negative space. And if any job that you're going to have negative people, right? Or
Mhm.
angry people. And I just try to just meet those people with as calm or as kind of a personality as I can meet with them, and that also makes my day a lot better. And that all came from meditation, by the way, all of
Mhm.
that. So all of this stuff you learn, that you have so much knowledge inside of you. You don't need to reach out for knowledge. Everything you need is in you. I really strongly believe that.
Mhm.
You you know. So yes, it's important to read and get all of that, but um,
But
the
there's got to be a starting point, and meditation is
yeah,
that starting point.
yeah.
Mhm. Well,
So
listen, Anne, I really appreciate you joining me as a co-host. It's nice to talk to somebody again. The last show I did, I had to talk to myself. I got to get
yeah.
myself used to that at times, but I got some good backup here. But I really appreciate it. And to everybody, don't forget, not only do you have Eye Opener Society, but check out Anne Lund's Haunted and Waiting as well. It's a fantastic podcast. It's her very first one, and she just knocked it out of the park. It's got so many views and so many listens, but if you haven't heard it, please tune into it. And also, Mind's Eye Metaphysical. Don't forget, mindseyemetaphysical.com. My dear friend Jen, she is my spiritual guide in life. She had the shop closed down for about a year so she could tend to her personal business as well, but she's reopened. And if you go to mindseyemetaphysical.com, you could order all things metaphysical off of there. But if you are in Pennsylvania in the Marietta section, Lancaster, visit her shop. It is the most calming, most peaceful place to be. And Jen's personality and her inner light just shines through. I can't express enough just how much I adore her. And I thank her for everything because if it wasn't for her, I would have never got my start into all this metaphysical. So definitely check out mindseyemetaphysical.com. And Lund, once again, thank you so much. We'll be waiting for the
Thank
next
you.
episode for sure. And I just wish you all the best as always. And
Thank
peace, love,
you.
and light to you. And we will be in touch.
Okay. Thank you. It's been fun being here again.
Absolutely. And everybody, thank you again for tuning in, and we will see you real soon.